Today on The Public Interest, we'll be talking about a series of upcoming meetings on floodplain, flood, and river policy in the Missouri and Illinois area. Welcome to The Public Interest with David Stokes. I'm David Stokes, obviously. Today on The Public Interest, we're joined by Maisa Khan. Maisa is the Water Policy Director at Missouri Coalition for the Environment. We're here to talk about your work in water policy, but also to give a description of a series of upcoming meetings sponsored by the Upper Mississippi River Basin Association.
That's right.
And encourage people to attend those, let them know what to expect, and give them the schedule and all.
Yeah.
So usually, as regular viewers know, we have wine, beer, or cocktails during the show, but Maisa has to work tonight.
I'm hydrating.
So Maisa is responsibly, I'm doing this for her, so her bosses, board members, and Heather can see that is water, since she has a speaking engagement yet to come this evening.
Yes.
Correct? And who are you speaking to this evening?
Well, I will be speaking to the Callaway County Progressives tonight that gather once a month in the library. So I'm talking to them via Skype, so luckily I'm not making the trek. I'm saving the CO2 emissions.
Good for you.
And just presenting virtually.
What is your focus of your work as water policy coordinator at Missouri Coalition for the Environment?
Yes, so my work focuses on three buckets. The first is defending the Clean Water Act. And David, as I'm sure you may know, the Clean Water Act was written in 1972 with a very simple goal that all waters would be fishable and swimmable by 1983. So they set their sights high, and we definitely have a long ways to go as a nation before we could jump into any river or eat the fish from any stream and not be concerned about our health. The second bucket that I have is working on flood policies and protecting our big rivers. And this is the UMRBA meetings upcoming kind of fall into that bucket.
And that's the bucket where we work closely together on our two organizations.
Exactly. We're often at the same meetings talking about flood policies and restoring and reconnecting floodplains and their ability to mitigate flood risk, which is, I know something that you're very focused on. And the third big bucket that we work on, given that Missouri is an agricultural state, just thinking about the impacts of big agriculture on water quality. So a lot of the times I'm working with concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFOs in Missouri, and supporting farmers who do the kinds of things that are necessary to be good stewards of the earth and protect our water quality.
And before we dive into the UMRBA meetings, and I know I talked with Ed a little bit about this on a prior show,
right?
But describe a little more the changes in the legislature this year to CAFOs, or concentrated animal feeding operations.
Absolutely. Well, there's two areas that cause MCE concern. One is our Clean Water Commission, which is our body that approves or denies permits for concentrated animal feeding operations. It used to be that the commission, it's a 7-person commission, and it used to be that 4 of the members of the commission were members of the public. So they could be anybody who is concerned and a representative of local communities that are impacted by big ag. But Governor Greitens changed the composition of the commission, and now all 7 individuals that are members of that commission have ties to big ag. So that's a big concern that MCE has. The other piece of legislation that Ed also tracked very closely, and we worked with our members on, is SB 391, which is a bill that will go into effect at the end of August, that removes local counties' abilities to decide for themselves what kinds of regulations they want to put in place to protect water and air in their local communities. So, for example, some counties have some regulations about how close a CAFO can be to a residential property, or they might have more stringent rules on the air emissions that a CAFO is allowed to put out. So now what the law of the land is that no county can pass a more stringent ordinance than exists at the state level.
That seems to bode not well for a bill that both organizations, Great Rivers Habitat Alliance and Missouri Coalition for the Environment, have supported in prior years, including last year, to eliminate the state restriction on counties passing tighter floodplain development rules if they chose to.
Both have to do with local control, right?
So both organizations have supported a change in the statute because currently counties in Missouri that don't have zoning, so if you're a larger county that has zoning, you can pass these tighter floodplain requirements, as Jefferson County just became the first county to do. Mm-hmm. But we'd like to see the authority, it's not mandating anything, but the authority for rural counties without zoning, particularly those along the Missouri or Mississippi River, obviously, to enact tighter floodplain development rules if they chose to, which they can't do now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it seems the state is going in the
opposite direction.
Other direction.
Yes, yes.
So if I was a betting man, and I am a betting man, we'll see how that goes.
Yes.
But now I want to talk about this series of meetings that the Upper Mississippi River Basin Association, which is a federally chartered group constituted to direct, they don't really manage it quite as tightly as some might envision them to, but to direct the management of the Mississippi north of St. Louis, I would guess.
Yep.
And that includes representatives of Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
That's right.
And in order to deal with the constant dispute over how this river should be managed, whether for the barge industry, for the agricultural industry, for recreation, for fish and wildlife, for flood safety, there's a series of public meetings, and they just had one last Saturday, the first one in Hannibal.
That's right.
And you attended that.
That is right.
And we're going to put all this information up, flash it up on the video, including registration links and all for people to get to. But first, tell us about your experience in Hannibal last weekend.
Right. So, David, as you said, this is a series of 6 meetings that UMRBA is hosting all along the Mississippi River. And the first of the 6 meetings occurred in Hannibal this past weekend. And the goal of these meetings is to bring in the voices of local communities and all of the users of the Upper Mississippi River. And so these are public meetings. The setup of this meeting was very interesting. So it is an open space session. And what that means is that the participants that show up at this meeting get to decide what topics are discussed, and they get to lead the discussions, which is very interesting because it is very participant driven. So to describe exactly how it went, on Saturday, we were able to put on a big Post-it note the topic that we wanted to discuss, and it goes up on the board to create this marketplace of topics. And then you get to decide as a participant which of these discussions you want to be part of. And in proposing the topic, you're also saying that you will be there in the room to lead that discussion, and that you will also prepare a short report that will go to the UMRBA folks. And the ultimate goal of these 6 meetings is to hopefully inform a watershed study. And so I think it is a very important exercise, and as I said, it is extremely participant driven. So all the folks that we have worked with and are in our networks who care about floodplain restoration, who care about being able to recreate on the river, who have been impacted by floods, I think all of those voices should be at the table.
And that's sort of the purpose of what we're here to talk about today, is to encourage people to come.
Yes.
I think it was Woody Allen who once said that the world is run by the people who show up.
Exactly.
And while quoting Woody Allen is not as popular now as it once was, it's still a good line.
Absolutely.
So the world is run by those who show up, and because it's not, the fear is not that people who care about rivers won't show up. My fear is that if people who care about not doing the same old thing, build levees, develop the floodplain, if we don't, we're going to be outnumbered by the interests that see every flood as an excuse to spend more money on higher, bigger, and new levees.
Yes.
And there will be those interests at this meeting, and I assume the UMIMRA is the organization for that. I assume they were at Hannibal in force.
Yes, they were. And that just goes to show a lot of the folks who are used to interacting in these spaces will be comfortable showing up and will know about these meetings. Whereas a lot of the members we have or supporters that MCE has are not always thinking about levee and reservoir issues. And so it's important to get all of those voices at the table. And I'll just say that these sessions also, were an opportunity for people to hear from individuals who care about floodplain restoration in a way that maybe they've never heard before, to put a face to these ideas. And it's a lot harder to be, oppositional when you're just talking to someone across the table. So
it is so much harder to
Yes.
do that. Not that I haven't seen people try
Yes.
in other public meetings,
Yes.
but it's harder to just, what you might say somebody on Twitter, you such and such, so and so.
Yes.
It's a lot harder when you're at a table about
Right.
trying to find common ground.
Absolutely, absolutely. And working through that common ground in these fora so that those shared solutions are included in that eventual watershed plan, that's the goal, right? And I'll say that 8 topics were presented at the Saturday meeting, and 7 of those topics were proposed by people who came from a conservation or an environmental group, which is great.
That's fantastic. So we're going to give the schedule a little bit here.
Yep.
And we're going to give them the webinar schedule.
Yes.
So please, I know we've got lots of viewers in Iowa and Minnesota, so I'll give those meeting schedules too. The next meeting is July 20th in Muscatine, Iowa, followed by the 27th in Dubuque, Iowa, August 3rd, Winona, Minnesota, and then August 24th, and this is the important one because, honestly speaking, most of my viewers probably are in the St.
Same
Louis
with
area.
ours, yep.
So August 24th in Godfrey at Lewis and Clark Community College is the next, really the only meeting in the greater St. Louis area.
Yes.
So we really encourage people to take that. It's a Saturday. All these meetings are held on Saturdays, and it is an all-day thing. So
Yes.
So you have to commit to spending the whole day there. And nobody in this listening audience should be able to tell me that they can't come, because I was supposed to go to New York City on August 24th for my annual fantasy football draft
Oh, wow.
with my college friends in Manhattan, and now I'm skipping that to be at this meeting. So
Well, thank you,
nobody can, I don't think, top me with the excuse of why they can't be there.
That's fantastic.
Luckily, I had not bought a ticket yet.
That's fantastic.
But August 24th. Now, where can people sign up for some training sessions ahead of time?
So our friends over at American Rivers and Olivia Dorothy, if any of you all are familiar with her work, are hosting 2 more training webinars. The first will be July 24th at 7 p.m. Central, and she'll also have a second webinar that she just added on August 20th, and that'll help folks prepare. For the Godfrey meeting, but also the Cape Girardeau meeting as well.
There is one meeting after after Godfrey in Cape Girardeau.
Yes, and those webinars are just meant to share some talking points that you might want to lean on when you are in these meetings. And Olivia will probably echo a lot of what we learned and we talked about today about the setup of the meeting, since it is different than the sort of meeting where you show up and just listen to presentations. And we'll have local experts in advance of the Cape Girardeau meeting as well who can weigh in on some local issues, because I imagine each of these meetings will have a different focus and a different flavor given where they are.
All right, and you can go to the Missouri Coalition for the Environment website and the Great Rivers Habitat Alliance website and see the schedule, and you can sign up for the webinars through your website, I believe.
Yes, and I will have a blog post up within the next couple of days that has some of the topics that were discussed at the Hannibal meeting.
And what were some of those?
Yeah, and so we had one conversation about providing room for the river, and that's the idea of setting levees back, in facilitating buyouts of flood-prone properties. We had a conversation about increased precipitation and extreme weather events and what impact that has on the management of the river. We had a conversation about floodplain restoration and reconnection, which is the idea of restoring our floodplains to their natural state so that they can perform the ecosystem services that protect us from future floods. We had a session about landowners So folks in the room who were property owners, landowners, what their perspectives were on how the river should be managed. So lots of different topics led by people who either were familiar with the topic or just wanting to learn more about it.
As we mentioned earlier, there's going to be people representing interest groups that will be there arguing for the 2020 congressional levy omnibus package of billions of dollars more for bigger levies, which will do nothing more than take the flood of 2019 at some point in the future and make it even worse. And those people have every right to be here. They have every right to participate.
Sure.
Nobody begrudges them that for a second.
Yeah.
But we just can't encourage you enough. If you care about environmental policy, if you care about conserving our floodplains, our rivers, if you're a boater or a fisherman or a bird watcher or 100 other things, please attend the meeting nearest to you. And if you're in the St. Louis area, please join us at Godfrey on the 24th.
Yes.
And book a babysitter. It's not just a few hours.
Yes.
Are you going to be at other meetings aside from the Godfrey one?
So Ed Smith, MCE's policy director, will be at Cape Girardeau. Olivia Dorothy, our friend at American Rivers, will be at all of the meetings except the one happening this Saturday in Muscatine, so you can find Olivia. And on our website, you'll also find a rideshare document if our viewers who are in St. Louis area want to get together or see who's driving up from St. Louis. We can facilitate that. And I think there will be MCE members and board members who are planning to participate. So I think there will be friendly folks in the room at all of the meetings.
I certainly hope so.
Yes.
I'm confident that we'll be able to get some people from Great Rivers Habitat Alliance there on the 24th at Godfrey. I'll absolutely be there.
Right.
I'm going to try to get to some other ones as well, but I've committed to the Godfrey one absolutely.
Fantastic.
So it's really important that you get out there. If you have any questions about it, Misa, what's your number to call?
Yeah, so you can email me at mkhan@moenviron.org, and just look me up on our website, and I don't have our office number memorized off the top of my head, but
that's very 2019.
I know, I'm like a very millennial right now, but feel free to reach out through our website. My contact info is there. Make a note on that rideshare doc. We're here to help answer any questions.
And same thing, you're free to call Great Rivers Habitat Alliance at 314-918-1007. Or email me at dstokes@grha.org or go to our Facebook page. We hope a lot of you out there can attend. It should be a very interesting day. I don't know if it's going to be would you describe it as fun?
In retrospect, it was fun. Compared to most meetings, you get to use the gray matter in your brain.
It's going to be fun the third or fourth time?
We'll see. I do think each meeting is going to be different.
But the planned schedule for each meeting is at least intended to be largely the same?
Correct. That open session process should be the same at each one of the meetings. And I'll just echo what you said at the beginning, is that I think we can't continue to do the same things we've done and expect a different result. That's the definition of insanity, right?
Absolutely.
And so this is an opportunity for us to talk about different ways of mitigating flood risk and dealing with flood issues.
Well, Misa, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, David.
As I said, all this information, we're going to flash it up, and please go to the various websites, sign up, attend, and help spread the message to your neighbors and friends to get out there and join us in Godfrey and at many of these other meetings. UMRBA is a good organization. They've got the difficult task of trying to merge many disparate interests on how the Mississippi River should be managed. But I think the people who lead it and the directors from both at the national organization and their state activists, I think they try to do the best they can. Thank you for joining us on The Public Interest with David Stokes. Links and contact information for all of this are in the description down below of the video. And we'll see many of you on August 24th in Godfrey.